Hey guys, welcome back to the garage with a BMW F800GS. Today I'm gonna fix the rub-off spot on my frame. I got some matching paint for the red BMW. And then we're gonna install a whole bunch of parts that you might be tempted to buy on Amazon or eBay because it's cheap, but which in reality you don't really need. So I'll put it on, you guys will look at it and you'll be the judge if you actually want to get it or not. But enough of the chit chat, let's get on it. So to be exact, what am I actually installing? This net that goes on the top box over here on the inside. This is actually probably the only thing I really need on the bike. We're gonna put it on and see if it is actually useful or if I just thrown away that whatever, 20 bucks, whatever that was. Exhaust guard that go up front on the exhaust and in theory are supposed to protect the exhaust in case you get a hit with a rock or whatever. This is something that if it's a known brand, goes for anywhere between 35 to 60 bucks. You can actually buy a no brand name from Amazon for 20, less than 20. And there are a few mistakes people do when they install this thing, and we're gonna talk about it later on. Since I'm gonna use this touch-up paint on the frame and I want to protect it, I bought those. Those have horrible reviews saying that they're cheap, they're flimsy, they're brittle, they break. Yes, they do. I guess let's begin with the touch-up paint since we need to wait for the paint to dry to install this. The rubbing problem is much worse on the other side because on this side the engine case actually gets some of the rubbing action. We have a color coat and a clear coat. I just cleaned it. I removed a little bit of rust that was there. And I'm gonna just open this thing and touch it up. We're gonna wait 20 minutes and then we're gonna see if it needs another coat or not. And then we're gonna wait another 20 minutes and then we're gonna give it a clear coat right on top. When it comes to the kickstand foot, there are actually two versions of this. Be mindful of what the shape of the actual foot is on your BMW because apparently later on in time, 2019, maybe even 2018, BMW made a bigger foot for their kickstand. Another thing to consider is, especially if it's an older bike, you've been using this a lot, so the metal is not as flat as it used to be anymore, and the edges might actually have pushed out because you put your kickstand on some sharp rocks, so the metal might actually protrude out a little bit. If that is the case, just grab a file it up a little bit until it actually matches. And then you can actually put it on. Another thing, as you guys can see, this thing wiggles a little bit, is because the edges of the foot over the years have actually flared up a fraction of a millimeter. That is not a big deal. Just if you're really that meticulous, you can actually bang it back down, but it's not enough for the foot to fall off. So in my case, I'm gonna leave it alone. And the third thing is that most people complain because the screw fall off after a while. Well, guess what? This thing is over there bouncing around, vibrating and all. So yeah, it might fall down. There is a very simple solution. Before you install the screws, just put some Loctite on the screws. A little bit. Loctite is always messy. Let me rephrase, I'm always messy with the Loctite. And that's it. The foot extender is actually quite bigger than the OEM, and in reality it doesn't really pop that much that is gonna take my attention to it and make me not like it. I'm in Southern California. Unless I park the bike on sand, I really don't need that. Mostly it's rocky terrain, so there is always a rocky patch where I can actually put my side stand on it. But if you live in a dump place up there in Washington, hey, how's it going? That might actually be more helpful because the ground is not as solid as down here. All right, when it comes to the net that goes here, there are a few things to actually notice. BMW only has 3 screws on the bottom and 2 blanks up top. I don't know if this is just on my bags or if it's on all the bags. Fortunately, I do have another 2 bags which I'm not gonna put the net on. Therefore, I just pull the center screw from the other 2 and I'm gonna use that. All right, and now when I have this thing full of stuff and I just want to put the gloves in and I want them to stay on top, I can just do this and the gloves will stay on top and forget about it. Or a map or whatever else you just want to be on top rather than in there and then you keep piling stuff up on it. So right on, moving on. All right, it's time to install those things. First thing you need to do is shape them over the exhaust to see how you want it to be. They're very malleable, they're very light, they're very bendy. So let's go on it and let's try to shape them. Obviously I want it from here, where my bash plate is, all the way up here. So I'm gonna put it in. So before you put it in, you should have some like this. All right, the touch-up paint dried up. The result is actually pretty good. It looks, that looks very new. But it doesn't matter because we're gonna cover it up with this thing. Because I have the Outrider exhaust guard over here, I had to trim this thing just a little bit, but it's easy to cut. I actually filed it off with a file. Very, very easy. So now I can put it on. The way you put it on is you remove those 2 screws over here and they provide you longer screws. So first step, let's get these off. Actually, since the screw is pretty much almost exactly the same length, I'm gonna keep the OEM. And this one goes pretty much like this. At this point, I'm gonna press it in and tie. And cut the excess. That's it. Moving on to the other side. On this side is more of the same, and if you have the Outrider master cylinder protector over here, you have to trim this down here just a little bit. The only other difference is instead of attaching it over here, you are attaching it to this screw over here, and this screw is actually very short. I found the first problem with the installation. They give you 3 of those extra screw, 2 of which you do not need on the other side, and the only one that you actually need on this side, it's the wrong diameter. So this is the BMW OEM, this is the screw that they give you, and this one is definitely bigger. If you've done most of the mods I've done to this bike, you probably have a longer spare screw somewhere. I actually was lucky enough to have a P.O.Box screw of the same diameter and the same thread, so I'm gonna use this. All right, that's it. Once more, we are done for today. First of all, thank you very much to my patrons, because those videos are very much made possible because of your support. And if you want to become a patron, check the link down below. Other than that, let's go over what we did to the bike today and what I think to conclude. First of all, the touch-up paint actually turns out to be great. It looks like brand new. Unfortunately, the rest of the frame is not brand new, so the spot, it's kind of shinier than the rest of the frame. Is it worth it, the money? Probably yes, if you want your bike in pristine conditions. Second thing is the protector for the exhaust over there up front. Now, when it comes to that, just like everything else I installed today, those are actually half the price of any other famous brand. In a rocky terrain, they might be worth it because the front wheel send chips and rocks up to the exhaust. If you don't want to ding your exhaust, easy and cheap solution. If you are in the northern latitude where it snows a lot or where it's swampy and there is a lot of mud, maybe those are not the best solutions because they're going to trap a lot of mud. When it comes to the foot on the kickstand over there, as I said before, if you live in a place where the ground is soft, yes, that is actually useful. If you live in a place where it's rocky conditions or a hard pack gravel, you can do without. But that is so cheap and so convenient, 3-bolt, and forget about it. So it stays there. Other than that, today we installed the net on the bag. If you keep the top bag on like me and you have a Vario bag from BMW, that net actually might be a good buy, because for convenience sake, if I want something to stay up top rather than fall in there, I just put it in the net and forget about it. When it comes to those frame protectors over there, they do not look half as bad as I thought they would. If you don't want to wear out your frame, they might be worth it. I wish they made them red to match the frame, but even black, it's not as bad as I thought. I really thought it would be way worse than what it actually looks like. And that's it. We did a lot. We really did a lot today. Hopefully you guys can find this useful. Hopefully you can use this to make up your mind if you want to spend that 20 bucks. Either way, for anything I used today, check the description down below. Get yourself a Master Shade 3 mechanic shirt. Today I excel my mastery of the Shade 3. And as always, if you like the video, like, if you love the video, subscribe, stay safe, work on your bike, and I'll see you next time. All right? And well, if he hasn't broke all the times I tossed it around the air and dropped it, maybe it's not as flimsy as I thought.